Lori Norwin, who is a member of our board, who has also been instrumental in having this session and actually making all the sessions happen. But Ms. Norwin is the chair of the board of directors for the Women's Center of Greater Danbury. Is that correct? Okay, so for today, we're going to have a presentation on the Women's Center. Then we're going to have we have a very special guest here today. Let me see, is Brianna, where's Brianna go? Is she here?
I saw her.
She's on the room. Okay, so the very special guest, I'll give it away, is Brianna Rozek, who won last year for Danbury. And she's going to talk to us. She is Vice President, U.S. of Danbury. And wait till you hear what she's been doing. It actually kind of blows me away. Anyway, so let's see. I'm going to kind of give the overview. So, Anne Rudwell-Lott was not able to come today, but yes, okay, so there's Brianna. We're going to formally introduce you later on, but maybe you can just wave to everybody. That's Brianna. She's going to tell us a little bit about her campaign later on. Okay, but we have Cara Mackler, who is a prevention educator. She received a BA in Sociology and Gender Studies from the University of Rhode Island. Previously worked as a peer advocate at University of Rhode Island, and she's conducted over 150 presentations year to various groups. I have a confession. After the session last year, when Cara came and spoke to us, and Anne at the time, she had me, the messages they conveyed sent me home thinking of things a little bit differently, and I ended up writing a letter to a major newspaper based on what she made me think about. So let's see if you guys are just as, if you're as influenced as I am about how the media influences how we think. Oh, and just one housekeeping item. Does anybody have their permission slips for the field trip? Okay, if so, please hand them over to Ms. Cordano. We don't lose track of them. We don't want you guys to lose them without them. You can also bring them on
Alright, I can ask for you too. And I'll come back. My mom filled it out and I forgot. Yeah, I don't know.
No, you have that's the sheet. I think you have this.
And I'm actually, I always have to know myself. That same news site,
Maybe I missed it. Great job.
Okay, and may I ask you guys, because we don't have the microphone for this session, so when you crinkle your popcorn bag and eat and stuff, it might be a little bit distracting, so I'm going to ask, because I think we've had a lot of time to take care of our snack needs, if we could just, put the bags away so we can listen and focus. That would be great. Thank you very much.
You're going to get another break where you can resume eating, so save some for later. All right, Cara.
Thank you. All right, well, hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. End of a Friday. So my name is Cara, and I'm from the Women's Center. So there were a couple people that were here last year, maybe, that might have seen this presentation. Has anyone else heard of the Women's Center before today? Oh, awesome. So do we know anything about the Women's Center? Other than our name? Yeah.
Does it have something to do with equal rights between women and men?
Yeah, so we are all for equal rights between women and men, absolutely, yeah. And we can help anybody, so that's a really important piece about the Women's Center. Even though we're called the Women's Center, we serve anybody of any gender identity. So men, women, children, anybody can come to us. And our goal of the Women's Center is to make sure that everyone has happy, healthy, and safe relationships at home and at school. So if you're dealing with something with your family or with your friends or with your classmates, you can come to us and talk to somebody at the Women's Center to talk about your feelings and get that support that you're looking for. So we are located in Danbury, so we're not too far from here. All of our services are free since we are here to help. So it's never going to cost anyone anything, and we're confidential. So anything you share with myself or anyone else at the Women's Center will stay completely private. We're not going to share that with anyone without your permission, except for just like at school with your teachers, we're mandated reporters. So if there's ever a situation where we're concerned about someone's safety, then those are types of situations we can't keep private. But other than that, anything you share, if you want to talk about your feelings, something going on, it will stay completely confidential and private. So we offer educational programs like you're seeing tonight. We've tailored this one for your group here. So we wanted to make sure that we offered something to you that was really special and meaningful for the topics of what you're talking about throughout your program and your time here. But we offer them in school, so for those of you in Danbury or Ridgefield schools, you might see us, you might see me. I go to the Ridgefield middle schools a lot. And we also offer counseling, so one-on-one counseling, group counseling, lots of different services we can provide. We have hotlines. If you need somebody to talk to, you can call us, and we're available 24/7, 365 a year. So that's pretty much the Women's Center in a nutshell. And obviously this is Connecticut, in case you didn't know. So the reason I'm showing you the map of Connecticut is to show you these towns, which might be a little hard to see for those in the back, but our kind of purple area, pinkish area, just shows the towns that we serve at the Women's Center. So we're located in Danbury, but obviously today we're in Ridgefield. So we serve anyone from New Milford and Sherman down to Reading and Ridgefield. Do you have a question?
How long have you been working there?
Oh, great question. So I have been working there for almost 3 years. In April will be 3 years. And then Ridgefield is at the bottom left. So in the pinkish color. Yeah, the bottom of the circle. So we go pretty far up to New Milford and Sherman. Sometimes even going to Washington and Kent. So we try to help people all across Connecticut. And the other colors are other places like us that do the same exact work that we do in those towns. So that people can get help wherever they are. We do. We have a lot of towns. Yeah. Yeah, Connecticut's pretty big. So tonight what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be looking at how the media talks about and portrays men and women and what kind of messages we're receiving from those media messages and those images that we're seeing. And then we're going to talk about how that impacts our self-esteem as women and girls, how that impacts our confidence, how female leaders are talked about in the media, and trying to kind of combat the negative messages that are trying to stop or prevent women and girls from achieving those leadership roles. So that's kind of what our time together is going to look like. So just to start, we're going to watch a quick video to kind of set the tone about gender stereotypes. Hopefully sound works. Oh no. Just kidding. 1 second. I'm not get the sound to work, so we'll just talk about gender stereotypes, and hopefully we can figure out sound for our last video. So have we heard of the term gender stereotypes before? Yeah, what does that mean? Yeah, okay.
Everyone thinks that girls are supposed to do this, and boys are supposed to do that, and girls can't do it, boys do this, and boys do that.
Yeah, very well said. So these expectations that girls are supposed to do this and boys are supposed to do that, and then sometimes we're told that things that boys do, girls can't do, and things that girls do, boys can't do, and it's kind of limiting, right, for both boys and girls. Yeah.
It's like you're treated differently because of your gender.
Yeah. So we're treated differently because of our gender, or maybe looked at differently, and which is not always a positive thing, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At some schools there's this thing called girl push-up. When you get on your knees and go like that, and that's not even doing any work. Second for the video, you can just put on those captions so we can see what they're saying, but we just can't.
Oh, that is a great idea. I'll save that for the video afterwards. Thank you. But yeah, so that's a great example in gym class where, if for those in the back who couldn't hear, of girl push-ups, where it's like a modified push-up. Which in reality should just be called a modified push-up, right? Not a girl push-up, because there might be some boys that aren't able to do the full push-up and want to do the modified. So it's kind of this expectation that girls aren't strong, right? Or that boys are stronger than girls. So that's a stereotype.
They make some push-up class, they don't go like make the girls just go like that instead of the actual push-up. It's underestimating.
Absolutely. And I love that you use the word underestimating. Yeah. Because we don't know what girls are capable of sometimes. We're capable of amazing things. Yeah.
In another thing, in gym, the pacer test, the expectation is for girls to get 9 and for boys to get 30.
Wow, yeah, so the numbers are so different, right? Because they're assuming that because we're girls and women that we're maybe not able to do as many as the boys, which sometimes is true, but may have nothing to do with the fact that we're a girl, right? Maybe that's just our physical strength. Yeah. Right.
Another thing is, with fitness testing, it's basically different numbers, but actually for the sit-in meet, the boys actually have a lower score because I think boys should actually be more flexible.
Ah, okay, yeah. So either way, we're treated differently, right? So I'm hearing a lot of great examples, well, maybe not positive examples, but great examples of how that looks, of how boys and girls are treated differently in gym class. Where else are girls and boys kind of looked at or treated differently? What are other examples other than gym class? Yeah.
Sports.
In sports, and that has to do a lot with our physical strength and whatnot, yeah.
And like the work life that we call
Yeah, absolutely. And work life and the workplace, right? Equal pay is an issue that we're seeing in our country and the world today. Yeah, into that.
boys, like they expect girls to have like cleaning toys in pink, and boys like get a variation of colors
Yeah.
and like trucks and dinosaurs and
Totally. Yeah. So even when we picture boys' toys or girls' toys, the fact that they're even separate doesn't really make sense, right? Because toys are toys. We can play with whatever toys we want to. If we want to play with the Barbie dolls that are targeted for girls, then that's great. But if we want to play with the trucks and the dinosaurs because we like that, then that's great too. But there is this expectation that you kind of have to fit into that label. And if you don't, then kids are sometimes made fun of, right, or left out, or don't feel like they fit in. There's some kind of like social consequences for not fitting into that stereotype. So we're going to be looking at how the media portrays gender. So we talked a lot about kind of what it feels like, a lot of personal experiences in gym class, or what we see when we go into a toy store, right? Maybe just the colors and the things that we're expected to buy and play with. So we're going to look at kind of the advertisements and things that we see in the media. So first one is from Gap. How many of you shop at Gap? Or have shopped at Gap before? Yeah, I used to love Gap. It's like my favorite store. So this was an advertisement from Gap that came out, I would think either last year or the year before. And what we see on the left is a little girl wearing a shirt with a pink G. And it says to the left of her, the social butterfly. And then it says that the shirts and sweaters are the talk of the playground. So then we have on the right, for a little boy, says the little scholar. Your future starts here. And the t-shirt has Einstein, right, who's a genius. So what are some of the things, the messages that we're getting from this advertisement here? Oh, we see lots of hands, yeah.
that boys are supposed to be smarter than the girls.
Yeah. So why can't the girl be wearing something about being a genius as well? Yep. Yeah.
Me? That for the next step, girls have the same future as boys, like they do the same things in college.
Yeah. So the focus for the boys is on their future and using their education to build that future. And then what are we focusing on with the girl? Their look. What else? Yeah.
That they should always be pink.
That they should be wearing pink. Yeah.
They're supposed to be like so popular.
Yeah. That the boys should care about their education and starting that future, and the girls should care about being the talk of the playground, being that popular social butterfly, which we can care about both of those things, right? But they're kind of telling us this is what girls are supposed to focus on, and this is what boys are supposed to focus on. Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're intentionally meaning to be sexist, but for one of the parts it says her logo style, then her trousers, and then there's a pink line in the middle.
Yeah.
And his t-shirts and his trousers, and there's a yellow line in the middle of it. So I
Yeah.
think they're saying like that's a girl color, that's a boy color.
Yeah, totally. And would we be okay with a girl wearing the clothes on the right?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Would we be okay with a boy wearing the clothes on the left?
Yeah. Those aren't necessarily girly.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
right? You're wearing blue, red, pink, whatever you want to wear. If you want to wear pink, cool. If you don't want to wear pink, that's also cool. But we are kind of getting that message, right, that this is what's expected. All right, so let's look at another ad. So this is for milk. It's like a protein milk, and it says milk for real men. So what does it mean to be a real man? Like not a robot? What does that mean? All the way back, yeah.
You're good looking, strong,
Uh-huh.
and muscular.
Yeah. So they are defining of being a real man as being strong. So it's all about physical strength, right? And how they look and being good looking, right? And muscular, right? Mm-hmm.
It could be like being a real man, like not being weak or careless, like he's hanging off a cliff and lifting a car with one hand.
Yeah, which are like incredible, things to be able to do.
That are totally not possible. Trying to make you think that it's possible for your body.
Yeah, and trying to make you think that you have to be this or be able to do this to be considered a real man, right? Kind of setting men and young boys up for this expectation, right? And the advertisement on the right, we see the little boy looking up at the man who's lifting this car with one arm and then drinking the milk with the other. And that's really kind of telling that young boy, this is what you have to grow up to be. And if you don't, then you're not a real man. And that kind of sets these really unrealistic and unfair expectations for young boys to try to live up to something that kind of leaves out a lot of other important qualities of what it means to be a man. Yeah.
Just add on what you just said was like you don't know, like right now, those people could not they could be not really nice, they could just be like really careless, or who are just really, really fit.
Yeah, I love that you brought up their character, right, and who they are as a person. You could be the strongest, most muscular guy in the world, but I would consider, when I think about the men in my life, when I think of like a real man, I think of someone who is caring and supportive of the people around them and lifts women up, right, and lifts their other men up, right? They could be not very good people. That doesn't mean just because they're strong that they're better men, right? So that's what we should be focusing on, is kind of the person that they are, not just kind of their physical strength. Good, all right, so we're gonna move on to one more ad. So we have this ad from Bic, which makes like pens and pencils and things like that, school supplies. And this came out on Women's Day, and on the bottom says hashtag Happy Women's Day. It says, look like a girl, act like a lady, think like a man, work like a boss. What do we think of this one? Happy Women's Day. What do we think? Yeah.
So it's basically saying that the men are the boss and the women are the boss.
Yeah, right? Because they're saying in order to be a boss, you have to think like a man.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right? Yeah.
Men are smarter than women. That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah, they're trying to say that men are smarter than women. Yeah, all the way in the back.
They're kind of like saying girls might just be focused on their hair and their makeup, and not like, oh no, I need to get straight A's.
Right. So they're focusing on the way that they have to look to present themselves to be taken seriously. Yeah, and last one.
When it says look like a girl and act like a lady, it's saying that it's kind of implying that that's how you're supposed to act.
Yeah, it's giving a very strict instruction, right? Of you have to look this way and act this way, and don't forget to think like a man in order to be successful. Which we know that women can be bosses, right? Women can be in charge of things and have power and be in powerful positions. But this is kind of telling us on Women's Day, it's supposed to be really empowering, that in order to achieve that, you have to think like a man, which is not really empowering. Okay, so when we're looking at all these advertisements, right, we're seeing these negative messages towards both men and women that are kind of setting us up for not really success. We also have to recognize that not everybody fits into those strict stereotypes of man and woman or girl and boy, right? Sometimes we express different parts of gender, just in the way that we dress or the way that we act. So we have to also recognize that some people who don't kind of fit into those stereotypes are not even really represented when we're talking about just men, women, girl, and boy. So messages that we're getting from the media about gender, we've kind of covered a lot of these already, that women should only care about their appearance and popularity, that men should be powerful and strong, and we're talking about physical strength, that men and women are not and should not be equal according to the media, and that men shouldn't express emotion, right, because that makes them weak in some way. So obviously, I'm sure we would all agree that these messages are not really accurate. They're not really true for a lot of us that exist in the real world and not just in the media. So now we're going to look at some female leaders in the media and how these messages are impacting particularly female leaders. So Alexandria, I almost combined her name, was the first youngest woman ever elected to Congress this year, and this was an incredible moment in history of the youngest woman ever to get into Congress. It's such a cool moment for us. And yet, shortly after she was elected into Congress, a lot of people, both men and women, from different parties were trying to kind of tear down her success when a video surfaced of the little image on the right, the one to the left where she's kind of like, woo! That was a video of her dancing with her friends as like an honor to her favorite movie, The Breakfast Club. And they did kind of a silly dance with her friends and posted it on the internet, and that resurfaced when she was elected. And people were trying to use that to kind of discredit her and to basically say, don't take her seriously as a woman in Congress. And so that obviously comes from those messages we were talking about before about kind of women having to prove themselves all the time. And so she came back with a comment and a little video of her dancing in Congress and in professional clothes in today's day, saying, I hear that people think, women dancing are scandalous. Well, wait till they find out that congresswomen can dance too. So she's trying to combat that negative message by saying, you know what, yes, I dance, people dance, that doesn't mean that I'm not capable of doing my job and that I shouldn't be taken seriously. Yeah.
It's sort of like what we were learning today about when somebody says you're wrong, you can create a rebuttal to tell them.
Yeah.
I'm not always going to be wrong, like I can do what I want and I have evidence for those facts.
Absolutely, yeah, to stand your ground in a respectful way, right? We're not going to tear somebody else down, even though they might be doing that to us. We're going to respond with, you know what, I hear what you're saying, I hear your side of things, but here's where I'm coming from, and this is where I stand. Yeah, absolutely.
Also, one thing with stereotypical is like the signs on the bathroom. Like, so the girls are wearing a dress,
Yeah.
and then the men are wearing they could be wearing like
Pants.
jeans or shorts,
Yeah.
and something like that. And it's stereotypical because some girls don't wear dresses, and so everyone dresses differently.
Yeah, everybody dresses differently, and that's what we were talking about before, right? That sometimes we don't fit into those really strict stereotypes because we express ourselves in a lot of different ways. So just because we're not wearing a dress doesn't mean that we can't be feminine, right? But just because we are wearing a dress doesn't mean that we should be treated differently, right? So yeah, there's a lot of ways that we express ourselves. And last one, just so we can make sure we get through everything.
The bathroom doors, the woman said girly girls and the man said manly men.
Yeah, so even the language sometimes are like, they're trying to be playful, right, of different, like instead of just ladies or gentlemen or something like that, and so they said girly girl, manly man. Yeah, and that's kind of a stereotype too, right? Yeah, absolutely. All right, I see a lot of hands and I appreciate your participation, but we have a lot more to get through. All right, so we see this image here and the response here. There was another woman, Brianna Wu, who was running for Congress. She wasn't successful in her campaign, but during her campaign, she noticed that Boston Globe, who she had taken a photo shoot with in professional dress for this interview and for this promotion of her campaign, was then saw this article written where the picture of her was her wearing a t-shirt with kind of silly hair that was not from recent, and then her opponents, who happened to be male, were in their suits and kind of in the campaign in those photos. And she called out the Boston Globe saying, I just took a photo shoot with you all in professional dress. Why would you pick a photo that makes me look like I shouldn't be taken seriously? So kind of a similar message that we're getting of kind of putting down women's success and trying to take them as, not serious candidates for things in politics. We also see this in other areas of life, so not just in politics, but in sports. So Corey Cogdill was an Olympic winner who had just won a bronze medal, and as the, Chicago Tribune was reporting about it, instead of referring to her as herself, they referred to her as the wife of a Chicago Bears lineman, won this bronze medal. And so they pretty much replaced her identity and her success with the attachment to the fact that she was married to someone who had his own success. So instead of just saying Corey Cogdell wins a bronze, which you can see someone else crossed out and corrected it, but they wrote the wife of a Bears lineman. So kind of minimizing her success again by attaching it to her, who she was married to. We also see this in Hollywood on the red carpet with the Oscars and things like that coming up. We'll see a lot of the questions that women are asked on the red carpet has a lot to do with, oh, who are you wearing? And let's talk about how long it took you to get ready, and dressed for this event, rather than talking about the roles that they were in and the directors that they worked with or the performance that they put on. And so Jennifer Garner was quoted saying when she was on the red carpet one evening, she got every single person that was interviewing her throughout the evening, every single person asked about how she balances work and family, being a mom. And yet her husband, when she asked him, did anybody ask you this? He said, no, absolutely nobody asked me about how I balance our family. And they have the same family, they're married with the same kids. But she was the one who got the questions about balancing work and family, and he didn't. And so we see how these messages, maybe even unintentionally by some people, are just focused on these particular parts or identities of what makes up a woman and kind of ignore some of the other things. Yeah.
Well, really quickly, just relating to red carpet in general, I noticed not only like on TV and in magazines and on social media, but like I noticed a lot of people are constantly, especially with celebrities, like commenting on clothes, hair, makeup, and that kind of stuff. But with like male celebrities, it's more about their actual, like what they're actually doing as opposed to what they're wearing. So I mean, even if it's not supposed to be offensive, everyone focuses on that as opposed to what female celebrities are actually doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and like you said, sometimes people aren't even trying to be offensive, right? They may not even realize that they're coming across in an offensive way. But by focusing so much on appearance rather than their success, we're kind of minimizing their success. Yeah. All right, so we talked about all of these messages already, right? That their success is undermined by that social status of being married or having a family. We're getting the messages a lot of times that women are inferior to men and that women have to constantly prove that they, made it and that they deserve and earned the spot to be in that leadership position, and that their appearance is often talked about more than their success. So we see how this really impacts how many women are in leadership positions across the country. So we see all of these numbers of how many women are holding leadership positions in different areas of professions. So business, in film, in law, in sports, in the nonprofit industry. And so each percentage of women in leadership positions is less than a quarter in every single industry. And obviously we know women don't make up just 25% of the country. So we don't really see that equal representation. Now this year, we had a record number of women in Congress. Now that is super cool. It hasn't been this high since like 1992, which is amazing. We've really pushed forward and shown more representation in Congress. But even with that record high number, we're still only at less than a quarter or about a quarter of women making up Congress. We still have a lot of work to do. So we're making a lot of strides and we're getting there and we're seeing that representation, but we still have kind of a long ways to go. So that would be like saying, okay, let's talk about feline healthcare. And these are the faces at the table. I'm sure the cats would not be okay with this and say, excuse me, dogs, why are you talking about something that applies to someone that I identify with? So we want to make sure that we're able to create a space where everyone's voice is at the table and every voice has an opportunity to be heard. So we know that a lot of this has to do with those rigid gender roles we were talking about and impacting how we view ourselves, how we treat others, and this can't be solved with one gender being superior over the other. So it's not about girls are better than boys or boys are better than girls. We should be able to have that equal opportunity to be in those leadership positions. And work together to lift each other up and create that space for people to have and share their voice. So talking about those unhealthy messages that boys receive in the same way that girls receive them, and being able to work together to make sure that everyone has that opportunity to change the world in whatever way they're able to. All right, so I know we're supposed to wrap up in just a few minutes. I want to make sure that we get to the super fun part. I know it's all been really fun so far, but our super fun part. So we're going to shift gears now into talking about how those messages impact our self-esteem and self-confidence. So in your own words, how would you define self-esteem or self-confidence? What does that mean? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you. How you see yourself? Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
Having confidence in yourself and what you do.
Yeah, so having confidence in what you do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sort of being like confident in general, where maybe instead of looking in a mirror and saying my hair is so ugly, looking in the mirror and saying my hair looks good today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we're allowed to have those off days, right? Having self-esteem doesn't mean that we have to always be like, I'm amazing and every day is great. We're allowed. That could, yeah, come across a little arrogant, right? So that's not the same thing. Self-esteem is constantly building and growing. And so a lot of it has to do with resilience. Have you heard that word before? Anybody know what it means? Can you share? Yeah, go for it.
I think being resilient is sort of like, is it sort of like standing up?
Sort of, standing up for yourself in a way. Yeah. So it's basic. You want to take it?
When
Try it?
it's like if something means you just like not
Kind of letting it roll off your shoulders, moving forward. Yeah, and so basically it's a combination of kind of the two things you were saying. So so we're gonna have obstacles, we're gonna have challenges in life, and especially as women and girls, we might see more obstacles and challenges because of the fact that we're women and girls. But being resilient means building this kind of tough skin, that every challenge that comes our way, we're able to move through it, we're able to learn from it, and then every new challenge that comes after that, we're saying, okay, I can handle this, because I handled that last challenge. I can get through this, and I can work through it. So building that resilience doesn't mean that you're not allowed to have bad days, or that you're not allowed to feel sad sometimes, or down sometimes. But resilience means picking yourself back up and trying anyway, and keep trying. So that's really what we're talking about today. We talk about being confident, right? It's not about that arrogance like you're talking about, of thinking I'm the best at everything, but it's just knowing that you have this ability to achieve things that you put your mind to. And that even if you fail, you can still go on. Why do you think failure can be a good thing? Or how do you think failure can be a good thing? Yeah.
Because you can learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, you can learn from your mistakes. And that's a powerful thing to be able to do. Yeah.
So like if you do something wrong, the next time you're like, okay, I know what to do. I know what I did wrong.
Yeah, so we don't always have to look at it as, oh, I failed, I knew I would fail, I'm so bad at this, or I'm not smart. We take it as an opportunity to say, okay, I get it, I see what went wrong there, now I know how to tackle this next thing. Totally, yeah.
Well, my math teacher has this thing in her classroom, and it's failure is the portals to discovery. So basically it shows that our mistakes, it basically shows that whatever like goes wrong or something, you can discover new things from it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great kind of way of looking at it and framing it. Yeah, last one.
I can say my math teacher made us in the beginning of the year watch like 4 videos on this mistakes are good. Videos that really get.
The power of yes. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I can relate because I was not good at math in school. That was not my strength. I was really good at English. I loved writing, but I was really not good at math, and I struggled with it, and it would really hurt my self-esteem because I was always thinking to myself, like, I thought I was a smart person, but then I'd get a math quiz back, or then I would get my homework assignment and not know what I'm looking at. It would really start to hurt my self-esteem. But we can turn that negativity into positivity, into kind of work. So one thing we're going to do, I'm going to actually come back to that in a bit, is we're going to talk about kind of how to do a quick fix of self-esteem, but really quickly just kind of going off of that conversation just now of ways that you can combat those negative messages that are trying to kind of break watching movies or TV shows where we only see maybe males in positions of leadership, or we're seeing these messages that are telling us that we can't do this, or any type of negative message. We can combat that by just kind of reminding ourselves, is this really accurate? Is this true? Is this realistic? And then if you're starting to feel down about yourself, kind of change your perspective and think, what would I tell my best friend if she or he or who they were feeling that way? You know, if they're feeling down the way I'm feeling down, what would I tell them to lift them up? Or what would I tell myself, right, or what would my best friend tell me if they were here right now and I was feeling bad about myself? So kind of helping us change that perspective. Turning that negative into a positive, even just the way that we talk, the language we use. When I was growing up, can't was like a bad word in my house. We weren't allowed. My brother and I were not allowed to say, I can't do this. My parents would be like, hey, that's a bad word. You're not allowed to say that. And it was because it was a mindset. If we immediately assume, I can't do this, then we're kind of closing off all of the options that we may have not even tried yet. So changing that perspective and reframing. And then putting our negativity to work. Setting goals for ourselves. Right? Using it as an opportunity to learn and try different things. And keeping a list or writing a list of things you're grateful for, and embracing your imperfections. Right? Everybody has strengths, and everybody has weaknesses. But I don't even like the word weaknesses because they're not. They don't make us weak. They're just things that we can improve on. So there might be things that we're really, really good at and things that we can work on more. So trying to reframe and focus on that and not let it bring us down. So one way to do this, we're going to do a really quick kind of exercise. I know our space is maybe a little limited for this, but we'll make it work, is a power pose. So for anybody who was here last year, if you remember this, we try and make it really fun. So power poses are essentially a quick fix for when we're feeling stressed out or nervous about something, or we're feeling really kind of down, or our self-esteem is not great, and we need this kind of quick little pick-me-up. It's something you can do anywhere, and you hold it for at least 30 seconds to a minute, to maybe 2 minutes if you can, to really kind of trick your brain into being like, yeah, I can do this, and it kind of creates this confidence. So our body language says a lot, right, about our confidence and how we feel. When you're giving your speeches, right, at the end of this, having that confidence and literally just the way that you're standing, before you go up on stage or wherever you're going to go, if you're feeling nervous, strike one of these power poses. So options that we have the Wonder Woman, so you can put our hands on our hips like this. We have the victor, so like, yeah, I did it. Another one that's not on here that I really love is like the flex. You know, we always see guys doing this, but girls can do it too. We have muscles. So doing something like this, the Statue of Liberty, there's a teapot, there's like the, what's it called? Walk like an Egyptian. There's a ton of options. So I'm going to have you all, if you wouldn't mind, stand up and see if you can make some space. I did! I'm glad you noticed that. Alright, so, look at the power pose for a minute. I'm going to grab my phone and do a song for us. Alright, so pick which one you would like to pose, and we're going to switch like every 2 seconds or so. Not few seconds, every 30 seconds we're going to switch up. You can pick one up. Alright, I don't know how loud this is going to be. It should be on speakers, but we'll make do. Alright. Does everybody know which one they're gonna do overall? The Miller. And yes, if you have your own creative way of making that power pose, by all means, do that. Alright, here we go. Okay. Everybody pick your first power pose, whatever that may be. It could be Wonder Woman, it could be Statue of Liberty, walk like an Egyptian, and feel the power in your body. You're telling your brain, I can't do this. Alright, look at another one, and we're going to switch. Really switch. Feel the power. Feel it. Alright, ready to take another one.
Cameron, who's comfortable singing, right?
Alright, you can do another one.
Comfortable one. I'm also keeping Cameron up from falling.
Alright, and last one. Whichever one makes you feel the most awesome and confident, do that one more time. Nice, keep it up creativity. Feel that power. Don't be shy. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. We're a little over time, but how did that feel? How many of you feel more energized after doing that?
Yeah.
Awesome. How many of you feel like you can take on the world? Alright, I'll take it. A few hands up. Awesome. So, do that anytime you're about to go take a test, or a quiz, or give a speech, or you do something that's really important to you. That extra little confidence boost. You could also just listen to music that lifts you up. And there are a lot of things that we can do to kind of give ourselves that confidence boost when we need it. And talk about the things that we talked about tonight. Right? Look at the things in the media, challenge those messages that we're seeing, work together with individuals of all gender identities, right? That it's not just about girls versus boys, right? We need to work together to kind of change the culture that we're living in. So I just want to leave off on this image here, right? You see a lot of male faces up there, which is great, right? A lot of people change the world. I want to see some female faces up there, and I think I see them in this crowd right here tonight. So keep on working towards your goals, and don't let anyone bring you down, including yourself. Most important person to lift yourself up is you, and you have that within you. So know that it's there, and keep on building that resilience and that strength, and work towards your goals. All right, so do we have time for an activity, or they gotta get their speeches?
So I think what we'll do is we're actually going to say thank you so much for coming today and speaking to us.
Thank you.
And we have a little something for you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and thank you.
Inspiring messages for these gals.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you again to Cara Mackler for that wonderful presentation. I'm going to ask you guys next time if she inspired you to do something as she did with me last year. Excuse me, but now I want to introduce our next very special guest, Brianna Wu. Now, does anybody recognize Brianna? Who recognizes Brianna? Yeah? Okay. Well, aside from the fact that the bullet points are up here, but Brianna was last year's winner of Miss President U.S. of Danbury and is currently Miss President U.S. of Danbury. She's been taking the role very seriously. Now, rather than have me describe it, I'd rather that Brianna come speak to you. She's going to tell you a little bit about her campaign and what inspired her and what she's been doing ever since, which is what we're interested in reading the bullet points. Then you guys are going to start to practice your campaign speeches. And again, don't today. So just, let us know, let one of the mentors know, and we'll make sure you get connected to a team. So I'm going to turn it over to Brianna now.
So, as was said, my name is Brianna, and
You might need to speak super loudly. We don't have a microphone here. So can you guys hear Brianna in the back?
no.
Okay.
So as was said, my name is Brianna. I'm a vice president of US of Danbury, and my topic is on bullying. I chose bullying because I was bullied for 2 years when I was in third, fourth, and fifth grade. So that really inspired me to choose that topic. Another thing is during my campaign, I got in contact with one of the state representatives, Michael Ferguson, and he helped me with set up appointments. He helped me with my campaign, and I also I have a GoFundMe page, so I could do the program that I want to do for bullying. So I can say this. My campaign was on bullying and for those kids who have suicidal thoughts or who are being bullied, so that they could go to that program that I want to create and talk to a psychiatrist about their feelings, what they feel about what they're feeling, and I'm sorry.
You started an anti-bullying, like a safe place, right, in the
Yeah,
schools?
Safe Haven.
Yeah, Safe Haven. Can you tell us about the Safe Haven that you started and what you did to get that started?
I haven't started it yet. I'm still working on it.
Oh, okay, that's part of the GoFundMe? The funds, okay.
So from the funds, my mentor and I are trying to find a psychiatrist for the students that would attend the program, so that they can feel safe to talk to someone that they haven't met before, and so that they can have some sort of connection to the psychiatrist, so that they can tell them what they're feeling, what is going through their minds. And my mentor, without me knowing, he put me on the LSU website, and when she posted it, that's when she told me.
Well, there's a picture of you in the corner with the backpacks that you had.
Yeah, so that was for my third grade teacher, Miss Raniolo in New Ridge Primary, and she helped me during while I was being bullied. So I decided to give kids the book bags that they needed for school. No reason.
Be supportive of the kids. So something, from my perspective, something that was incredibly remarkable about Brianna is, so last year we had the program, came to all the sessions, and then we did our field trip to the Capitol. And when we came back from the field trip, so our field trip got rescheduled like 3 times. And it finally happened a week before the election. And Brianna gets off the bus from the field trip and she says, Miss Louette, can I change my campaign topic? And I said, well, you got a week to go, but sure. And she said, I want to do anti-bullying. And I said, okay, if you can get me your slides by Friday. I think this was on a Tuesday. So she really only had a couple days to put it together. And I think that one of the reasons, from my perspective, why Brianna won is that she had passion about her topic. It meant an enormous amount to her. She heard the women speak at the Capitol when we did that field trip, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you heard that one of them got started in politics because she herself had been bullied, right? And so, it kind of clicked, right, in your head. Oh, I've been through that, and I want to do something about that. So that was number one that impressed me about Brianna. She got a passion. She found something that mattered to her, and she spoke about it. And, obviously she won because people really were compelled by what she had to say. The second thing that impressed me is Representative John Fry invited the winners. Where's Hersha? Hersha? There she is. So Hersha Schwan, as you already know, won for Ridgefield, and we got to hear from Hersha at our first session. Brianna won for Danbury. He invited Hersha and Brianna up to the Capitol to get a citation. Nice, really beautiful framed certificate of accomplishment. And that was when Brianna had a chance to meet the representative, Michael Ferguson. And when he heard that she wanted to do that her campaign was on anti-bullying, he said, well, that's really important to me and I want to help you. And so Brianna followed up with him, and followed up with him again, and followed up with him until he answered. Took a few times, right? So Brianna did this 100% by herself. At this point, the election had taken place. She was Miss President US of Danbury, and I was just getting emails and updates from everything that she and her mentor were doing. And Brianna has been featured in a girls' magazine. Has anybody heard of Strong Magazine for Girls? Yeah? Okay, yeah, people have it. So if you saw the issue back in September, October, is that yours? December? Oh wait, I think you had a whole spread before that, didn't you? Your picture's on the cover of December. She was in it twice, by the way. But there was a whole article on you. Like, was that, I don't know which issue that was. I actually tried to find it. We have an issue at home, but I couldn't find it, anyway, she's in the magazine. If we do find it at home, I'll bring it to you next time. But there's a whole article on Brianna. Sorry, Hersha, I don't think we got you into that issue, but maybe the next one. At any rate, it's very exciting, it's very important, it's very inspirational. And do you guys have questions for Brianna? Yeah.
Did you run alone?
I do.
You ran your campaign as president alone. Yeah, she didn't have all of the Danbury girls, for whatever reason, chose to run individually. Isn't that right? I don't think any.
No, near what we're supposed to do.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
And then Highland what we're supposed to.
Okay, yep, so you're right. There are a couple of pairs. Other questions for Brianna? You have another?
Yeah. Is there a specific age that you have to be to run? Because a lot of the Miss Presidents that have been showing up at our meetings have been in like high school, 8th grade, around that age, and I mean.
We have a lot of 4th graders, and all of you are eligible to run. And Brianna, you are 11 years old, is that right? When you won? And you were in 5th grade? 6th, you were in 6th grade. But Hersha, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but when Hersha won last year, I did get a couple families who came to me and said, well, of course Hersha won. She's older, she's more sophisticated, you know, because Hersha was an 8th grader last year. She was 2 points away from 5th graders who, so you had close in your shadow. There was a group of 5th graders who were right behind you by 2 points. And Hersha got something like 75 points. So that's how close it was. The girls right behind her got 73 points. So it was pretty close. So Hersha did an absolutely fantastic job. But the 5th grade girls were also doing a fantastic job. And this year it could be a 4th grader. So any other questions for Brianna? Hersha has a couple tips too. Do you want to mention a couple things that you did that you think helped you win?
I would suggest start thinking about what your topic, what you want your topic to be like now, and start thinking about something that you care about, like you mentioned before, because it'll really come across that you care about it. You shouldn't just pick a topic because then you'll also be inspired to do something about that after the Miss President election.
No. So start thinking about it now if you can. Yeah. You've got a couple questions. Anybody else have a question for Brianna? Go ahead.
Did you come in contact with any major issues during the time you were doing what you're doing now?
What do you mean by major issues? Like what are you thinking
not
of?
major, but I kind of feel like what did you run in? What are some of the problems you run into when you're trying to do what you're doing right now?
Since she was elected, so since she's been Miss President Danbury, have you run into any challenges in what you're trying to do? What have been the challenges?
Yes. So for my Be Kind Day, there was like a major snowstorm, so we had to cancel it. And my mentor had put like $100 towards that. Making flyers, getting businesses to put our flyer on their windows. So we had to reschedule it to April, I think. Somewhere around April.
Can you invite us? We'll share it with you guys. You can go to Brianna's Be Kind Day. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, before I come back to you, any other questions for Brianna? Because we also want to get some time to practice your campaign. So I'll go with what? Okay, so one more question. Last question.
What was the hardest part for you for writing your speech and like developing your ideas?
The hardest part was probably getting every slide under 3 minutes to present. Not saying it too fast, not saying it too slow, and trying to get the information that I needed by doing a lot of research.
Okay. Okay. So now, Brianna, if you are able to stay, the girls are going to start practicing their campaign speeches. So maybe you can walk around and give them advice or chat with them. Would you mind doing that? Okay, that'd be great. And Hersha is available too, because Hersha obviously won for Ridgefield last year, and of course your mentors are going to be able to help you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to, you got these last time. Was anybody not here last time? Nope, everybody was here? Okay, good. So we're going to hand these out again, and you guys can use these as a guide. You don't have to fill these out. This is just your guide for, doing a practice campaign speech. Here, can you just take one and pass around? And then, now let's do a show of hands again. Who is planning to run for president? Wow, that's great. Okay, who is planning to support a campaign for president? Okay, excellent. And who has not become part of a campaign yet in any way? Who needs to be connected? Connected? Okay, all right. And then we'll, so Allegra, we'll find you a team to join. And then anybody else besides Allegra? Anybody else who needs to join? Okay. Now, Allegra, what role do you want to play? We'll come and chat with you, okay? All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Anybody else? Here you go. All right. Now, since we didn't get to it today, you guys are going to be practicing your campaign speeches now, but we do have a take-home activity for you that Cara's going to present to you. It's something that you guys can do at home, okay? So today we're going to use this time to focus on our campaign speeches. We do have an activity you can do at home. Do you mind explaining your Okay, guys, just listen for a couple more minutes. This is just your take-home activity, okay?
So this activity is meant to kind of highlight what our strengths are by working our negatives into our positives. So you'll see examples of what that sounds like. I kind of gave an example of a personal one before about how I'm not really good at math. And so the exercise is to take 5 things that you want to improve on, so not using the word weakness, but something you want to work on or something that you may not like about yourself but want to change in a positive way. So the example, I may not be good at math, and then you pair it with something that you are good at or something that you do like about yourself. And it doesn't have to be related. So there's one of, I may not be good at math, but I am good at writing. And the other example is, I may be impatient sometimes, but I am compassionate. So focusing on the things that make you strong and make you you. And then at the bottom is turning those into a goal. So how you're going to make that better for you. So for the math one, the example of the goal is I will spend more time studying math. And so you're turning those negatives into kind of something you can work towards and to try to build that self-esteem. So that's the worksheet that you can take home with.
Okay, so these are going to be on the table outside here, and we'll make sure everybody goes home with one, and you can just do it when you're home. So go ahead and break into your groups, find your teams. Oh my gosh, that's right. Come on, Cara. So we always have to take a photo. Come on up, we'll do a photo.
Why are you wearing my shirt?
Okay, excuse me.